Here's a few red flags that I ignored in my relationship that just ended, where I got broken up with the day before my birthday while I was engaged. Great fun. Okay. One of the things that I realized was when we would go out to dinner with his friends, he would usually pick up the bill. When we would go out to dinner with my friends, however, we would be arguing about who's paying the bill. And I don't remember this adding up as a pattern. The friends that I've met from his side are like, yeah, he always does pay for the bill. And then the friends that I have from my side are always like, yeah, you guys are always arguing about who's paying. And I'm like, why did I not catch on to this before? Obviously, when you're in a long-term relationship, it's normal for like both people to be financially contributing to it. But we're also talking about someone who made a lot more money than I do. If you want me to pay, if we need to talk about who's paying, like that can be a private conversation and not in front of other people. It was very awkward in those moments when that would happen. So another thing was stonewalling. And by stonewalling, I mean when I was upset and it would be before bed, I would be like, crying in bed. And he would hear me crying and not do anything about it. And this was something that I actually did notice before the breakup, and I did bring it up to him. And it was always like, oh, well, we just need space. Or like, oh, we can talk about this later. Or that I was being too dramatic or sensitive or whatever. And my favorite was that he would say, I'm not going to baby you. When I would just ask for like someone to listen to my feelings and have empathy for what I'm telling them is upsetting me. Because those are my feelings. So we obviously have 1, definitely pay attention to how people deal with finances and believe them the first time. 2, pay attention to how people treat you when you're upset and don't make excuses for them if they are not showing you basic human empathy. I think the third reason I would like to give is the excuse of, well, I'm not going to tell you how I feel because you're hard to tell things to. Okay, so when you tell someone something, you are only responsible for what you told them and how you handled the situation. They are responsible for their reaction. So in this situation, I am responsible for my reaction to what you're telling me. But if you decide not to tell me how you feel, when I only find out after the fact, when like the damage is done, you're pulling away, like that's not communication. Pay attention to how people communicate when they have problems that they want to bring up. If they beat around the bush and don't actually tell you what's truly wrong and you notice that something is still wrong, you're gonna find out after they've already decided that they're done. And you need to believe people when they do that the first time. A lot of times these people will realize, oh, I actually, I did kind of make a rash decision, and like after talking with this person, what they're saying makes sense because I shared my feelings finally. Imagine that. You reach some sort of resolution. And the cycle repeats. If you let it. Don't let the cycle repeat. Believe who people are the first time they tell you, and you will avoid a situation like mine. Although I will say, this has done great things for me in my life. It has also been one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. If actually the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I don't know. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot, and I'm just trying to share my experience so that other people can learn from my decisions and hopefully not make the same ones.
So this video is for my ladies. If you're a guy, keep scrolling, and if you want to stay, fine, stay. This is a 10 red flags in dating that I personally ignored and I fucking regret it, okay? So please learn from my mistakes. Red flag number 1. If you're on a first date and if a guy asks you about your body count, he doesn't see you as a person. He sees you as an object. He wants to see how used up you are. And if you have more than 5 body count, then you are a whore. And he will treat you accordingly. Like, I'm okay with talking about body count sometime in the future when it just comes up in conversations. But on a first date, red flag. Number 2, they will cancel date last minute and then they will try to reschedule it on a short notice to see how desperate you are. To see if you are just sitting around and waiting for him or you have other plans, other options, etc. Number 3, he is gonna rush you into everything. On a first date, he's gonna tell you that you guys are meant to be together, like God sent you to him specifically. In a week, he's gonna tell you that he's in love with you. In a couple weeks, he's gonna talk about moving in together. In a month, he's gonna talk about marriage and so that you should meet their family, etc., etc. Number 4, they talk about their ex a lot. Positively, negatively, doesn't matter. They still have some feelings. They think about their ex a lot, red flag. Number 5, they're in touch with their exes. They're sending each other happy birthday texts, holiday texts. He's basically keeping her as a backup plan. And if it doesn't work out, then he's gonna go back to her. Or maybe she's the one who break up with him, so he's hoping, just waiting for her to come back to him. Yeah, red flag. So number 6, he will break up with you before major holidays and your birthday because he doesn't want to spend money. He doesn't want to invest in you because he doesn't see you as a future material. He doesn't see you in his future, or he's super cheap. Number 7, he talks about his mother very poorly. He fights with her in front of you, calls her names, etc. Big red flag. Anyway, number 8, he doesn't want to be seen with you in public. He wants to only hang out at his place or your place. Guys, when they are proud to be with you, they want to show off. So them hiding you, it means that you are not that attractive to him. He doesn't like you. Number 9, he contacts you only on the weekends or at night because you are the booty call, the fun time girl. The girl that he contacts when he's horny. Number 10, he is super sexual from the get-go. You barely know him and he's asking you nudes. If all of the conversation somehow ends up around being sexual, naked, etc., it's a very huge red flag because, first of all, he's a whore. Number 2, he's trying to use your body. And 3, he doesn't see you as a relationship material. He just wants to hook up with you. That's it. Actually, bonus point, number 11. If it's so easy to trigger him, if after just a small fight, small arguments, he brings up all of the things, nasty things that you told him in secrecy. He starts screaming, throwing things, driving like crazy. It's a huge red flag. Run the other way, because that person eventually will turn into an abuser, like physical, otherwise they're gonna turn into to abuser. So run the other way.
Okay, so if you have not seen my pinned post, go check it out so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about in this video. In that video, I asked a question. The question was, how far into your marriage did you know that your spouse was not your person, and how much longer after that realization did you stay? And in that video, or on that video, I had a lot of people asking me what were the signs, because I mentioned that the signs were there prior to me marrying him. I take full accountability. They were there because they're always there when we're aligning with the wrong person, right? But yeah, people wanted to know what were the signs. So let's talk about the signs. Okay, so first off, mind you, all of this was in within the first 3 months. Okay, the signs are there really fast, really soon. So we really have the ability to not waste our own time. We really do. First off, this one's going to be kind of like a 2-for-1. He was very disrespectful to his mother. They did not have a great relationship. Whatever childhood trauma stuff that he had dealt with her, that was spilling over into adulthood. And I would listen to him talk to her on the phone, and he would just be very disrespectful. I remember one of the first conversations I heard him have with her on the phone, and when he got off the phone, I was like, why are you talking to her like that? That was your mom on the phone? And he was like, yeah. And I was just like, that was a lot. You were very disrespectful. You need to chill out, And he was just like, no, you don't understand. She's da-da-da-da. She always in my business, and she always asking questions. And so, again, I still double down on that's still your mama. You need to respect her. But this would happen a lot, where I would listen to him have conversations with her, and he would just be very disrespectful. And it will make me cringe, and I will always, tell him you gotta chill. That's too much. That's too much. But again, somehow I found a way to rationalize that away in my mind that wouldn't, pour onto our relationship, because, yeah, he's dealing with whatever stuff with her. Again, did not at all agree with how he was talking to her, but I didn't think at that time it was going to affect our relationship. Boy, was I wrong. A man who disrespects his mom is going to be a problem for you. Eventually, that man was projecting all his hate and anger from his mama or towards his mama. It is more so after marriage. It was I got the wrath of all of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, if a man does not love, respect his mother, and he treats her terrible, don't. don't. I would never be with a man who does not have a good relationship with his mom. I would actually prefer a mama's boy. I know the mama's boys get a bad rap. Baby, send me a mama's boy. Maybe. Baby. Mind you, I'm defending this woman, right? And whole time, she don't even like me. She didn't like me simply because I'm not from their cultural background. So this was an intercultural relationship. I am not going to mention what his ethnicity is, what culture, because this is not a reflection of that cultural background. So we're just going to leave that out. But just know that his mom preferred him to be with a woman from their culture. And so because I'm not from their culture, I'm just a African-American girl from upstate New York. She wasn't fond of me. It was just like, no. And he would tell me that she would say like, why you can't just find a so-and-so girl? Again, a girl from their culture. Yeah. So it was a little racism involved, but, she made it very clear throughout our marriage that she did not mess with me. She was very dismissive. This woman would come to our house and think that she was gonna come in my house and not speak to me. And he wouldn't stand up for me, even though he had an issue with her, and he would cuss her out, or not cuss her out, but he would go off on her about his personal issues with her. He would let her disrespect me. So now I'm in a marriage with a man who's disrespecting me. He's disrespecting his mama, and his mama disrespecting me. Y'all see that? Absolutely not. I'm going too far because we're talking about, I'm getting into the marriage. Let me back up. This was within 3 months of dating, and like just her finding out that he's dating a black girl or African-American girl, and his mom just not feeling it. So yeah, he was disrespectful to his mom, and his mom didn't like me simply because I wasn't a part of their cultural background. The other like huge red flag was once we finally moved in together, he would leave the house first thing in the morning, like way earlier than me. And he would leave my front door open while I'm in the house asleep. Okay. I would be asleep and he would forget, because he was rushing, to close and lock the front door. Mind you, at this time, I already had a child. I had an 8-year-old when I met him. So me and my 8-year-old we're in our house sleep. He's in his room and I'm in a whole nother room. We're asleep, and I don't know that my front door is ajar because the man that I live with forgot to close it. And I'll never forget the first time that he did that. I heard clear as day, he is not a protector. He does not have the capacity to protect and cover you and your child. And, I confronted him about it. And of course, it was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was rushing that morning. I was running late. But that became a theme. When I tell you this will happen at least 3 times a year. And let me tell you something. 3 times a year may not sound like a lot, depending on what you're talking about. When you're talking about leaving your front door open while your family is in the house sleep, that's a lot. 1 time is a lot. This happened like numerous times. Like when I say like literally at least 2 to 3 times a year, this will be a thing. And I will start hooting and hollering, yelling, you're leaving us wide open for anything to happen to us. So you don't have any type of, there's nothing in you that is like, let me make sure I lock the house up and make sure my family is safe. That doesn't come to you naturally, huh? Like there's a moment where you would just walk out and like, not just leave the door unlocked, but like wouldn't even fully close the door. Like you're literally leaving me and my child wide open for something to happen to us, for somebody to walk in, and I'm asleep. So I'm off guard. You know what I mean? So that was a huge red flag. And when I tell you during the marriage, this man was not a protector, I was in a marriage where there was no covering. And that was one of the first signs where he showed me he did not have the capacity to protect or cover us. Okay. Then the other one, which was a huge deal for me. So I had just moved into a new apartment 2 months prior to meeting him. And when I got this, I wanted this apartment so bad. And it wasn't like this. This was when we were still like in upstate New York. And so finally got into the apartment I had been wanting. And when I moved into my apartment, I was just like settling in, and I had like the just utmost peace finally. I was just like at peace finally, because I had a rough year prior to that. And so I was just like, oh, just the most optimal peace I was experiencing during those 2 months. When I met this man 2 months later, he came and he disrupted my peace. When he came into my life, all hell broke loose. He came with so much drama. He was so messy, so much chaos. He was just a really messy boy, very messy, and he brought just so much drama and mess into my life. And so throughout the years, when things would happen and we get into arguments, that was something I would always say. I would say, you literally came into my life and stole my peace, and I have not gotten it back since. And I always think about that and just reminisce, like those first 2 months in my place. Like, I just remember just my morning routines. Like, I was just floating. I had, my peace. And I don't think I realized how important it was then to hold on to that peace. Now, listen, if you're not coming with peace and adding peace, no. But that man came in and disrupted my peace. There is no universe where a man who comes in and steals your peace is your husband. Okay, part 2 of the signs that I ignored before I married the man that I married. So one of the other major signs that I ignored was that about 3 months into dating, I don't remember how, but I end up seeing corn in his phone, okay? And when I asked him about it, he just kind of was like, well, I've been a single guy, so that's just kind of what I was doing as a single guy. Now, mind you, for a little transparency, I didn't do anything with him actually until about 3 months. About month 3. It took us about 3 months to do anything actually. I kept it at first base for like the first 3 months. So at this point, I hadn't been, active with him. So I was like, okay, I get it. Again, me just kind of like rationalizing it. Like, okay, it's a man. I get it. He's been a single man. He got to take care of himself, right? But then probably by like month 6 now, I'm noticing it again. And then I had a conversation with him and I told him like, look, I'm not comfortable with you indulging in corn. Like, because now I'm thinking like, okay, is he a corn addict? And he was, but that's a whole nother story for a different day. I didn't know that at the time. And I kept allowing everything he was telling me to like justify and rationalize it away. Right. So once we had the conversation and I was like, look, I'm not comfortable with, if we're going to be in a relationship, I got you. Like we, I got you, you ain't gotta, and he's like, all right, cool. Like, no problem. I'll get rid of it. Like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Oh, it was a huge deal. This was something, not only was he a whole addict, but he had been very much into corn since he was about 12, 13 type of addict. Like, and if you're familiar with people who are addicted to corn, they, specifically men, we're talking about men, right? Men who are addicted to corn, they just sexually objectify women all the time. They only see women as sexual objects. And when you are addicted to corn and you only see women as a sexual object, you are also just constantly very lustful. You have this lust spirit that you are just constantly operating in. And that spirit leads to the next sign, which that just leads you to being a cheater, basically, right? Like, because you always just looking for, there was not enough sex I could have with this man, okay? There was not enough, because it wasn't about that. It was about him having a lustful spirit and him always needing to fulfill that lustful demon in him, I found out that he was trying to hook up with his ex. Mind you, this is me finding out within 6 months of us dating. This is why I said, like, I played myself. So when we be like, oh, people wasted people's time, listen, I wasted. I'm here to take full accountability. Tisha wasted Tisha's time. Okay. I wasted my time. I can sit here all day and say all the terrible things he did And was he a monster in the marriage? Absolutely. Did he do some outright disgusting things? Absolutely. The man is full of demons. However, all of those was on display very early on. All of them. And I still chose to continue on. You know what I mean? So I'm at a place in my healing where I'm full of accountability. Like I'm no longer blaming him and talking about how disgusting he is, because I spent like the first year just reminding him of how nasty he is, and you're a monster and you're demonic and and it's like, girl, you knew, you seen all the things, and you continue to like. Then when the whole thing with me finding out about him trying to hook up with the ex-girlfriend, she called me and told me what happened, and we initially broke up, and I put him out, and this man came over. I'm talking about, he physically was on his knees at my front door crying real tears and begging for me to take him back. Please, baby, please, I promise. I know, no, babe, I promise it'll never happen again. Please, like, let's just start over. Mind you, this is like month 6 of us being together. This is 6 months in. All this goes back to what I'm saying about how this man came in and disrupted my peace. Mind you, I had total peace. So this is all happening, right? He on the floor pleading. I never forget, he was at my feet holding my legs on, please, baby, please, don't. What y'all think I did? Why was she? Y'all know what I did. Y'all know what I did. Like a fool. And that literally started a cycle of him realizing, like, okay, I could play with her. I could do what I want. I can gaslight her, and she gonna let me right back in. Taking that man back after that was the worst, the first worst decision I made in that relationship. That should have been, that sign should have been when I walked the hell away. Taking him back after that was the worst decision, because all I did was program his mind that, oh, I could play with her. And from that point forward, that man actually got worse. He got worse. Part 3 and final part of the signs I ignored and married a man that was not my husband. If you haven't already watched part 1 and 2, go watch that so you can get caught up, and then come over and watch this video. So there's a little saying, and you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of it, but it goes, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. My family was not a fan, especially my son at the time. My son did not like him at all. And he would tell me he did not want him to hang out with us. He did not want to be around him. Now, for context, I did not introduce my son to that man until about month 9, 10 of us dating. And that was because we had decided to be exclusive. Well, I decided to be exclusive. Month 9 or 10 is when I was like, okay, now that we know we're going to move forward in a like committed, whatever committed was for him, I decided to integrate him into me and my son's life. But when I finally introduced my son, it was an immediate no for him. Immediate no. Now, mind you, he was 8. And so I just rationalized this as, okay, he's not used to seeing mommy with any other man other than his dad, because he had never seen me with another man outside of his father. And so I just thought that, okay, this is just, he has to adjust. You know, he's just not, this is new. Like, he hasn't seen his mom with any other man. So he's not used to this. So I just thought, like, okay, he just needs some time to adjust. You know, he's a mama's boy. He's just used to having his mom to himself, and he doesn't want anybody coming in intruding on that. That's how I rationalized that. Well, he never adjusted. My son will be 21 this year. Throughout that 12-year relationship, my son never messed with that man. Never. He was always very much like, he just kept up this block between them. He would not emotionally connect with him. You know, he would entertain him when it was necessary. He wasn't disrespectful, but it was just like, I'm gonna just give you just enough. You know, he'll speak when he needed to speak, but it wasn't like a strong, you know, stepfather, stepson type of dynamic at all. And it was because my son kept up that block. I will give the man that I married this. He definitely tried to connect with him and tried to like create a relationship and a bond and a connection with him, and my son just wasn't open to it. And I didn't push for it because my son has a very present, active father. Me and his dad at the time had 50-50 custody, so he didn't need a father figure. And so I just kind of rationalized it as, okay, you know, I'm not gonna push for him to like, I can't make him have a connection with you, you know. As long as he's being respectful, and he was, that's all I can ask for him. But he was always very respectful, but he just wouldn't connect with him. He wouldn't really bond with him. He wasn't really interested in creating like a real solid relationship with him. And when I would ask him over the years, he would just kind of be like, I don't know, I just don't, like, you know, he just would say, I'm just not feeling him. Like, I'm just not. It was nothing, you know, the man that I married ever did to him. From day one, my son just was not feeling him. Also, I have that one prophetic aunt in the family, you know, who's very like tapped in, and she wasn't a fan of his either. Again, it was just one of them things that like, this ain't the one, this ain't it. My family, the family that did not prefer him, it had nothing to do with culture. You know I mentioned earlier his mom didn't accept me. That was only due to cultural reasons. My family just felt like something was off with him. It was about him as a person. You know, now, like, once you go through a breakup or a divorce, everybody started telling you how they really felt. So now I'm getting all the feedback, y'all. Everybody telling me how they really felt. Like, yeah, we ain't know what you was doing. We was like, what was... I'm like, wow. So yeah, the family, but particularly my son from day one was not feeling him. Constantly rejected this man's gestures, and yeah, he was just like, I'm just not feeling him. And rightfully so. The man was doing all kind of shit from day one and all the way through. So yeah. Also, he had a lot of female friends, and for some people that might be okay, but the problem with that is he never integrated me into those friendships with those women. So they were never my friend. I never got to have a relationship with them. With the one best friend who was his closest best friend, month 3 into us dating, he took me to Puerto Rico. And when the best friend found out we were in Puerto Rico, she sent him a long essay text professing her love to him. And he showed me the text message. We were in Old San Juan. I'll never forget. We were going into like a souvenir shop. And as he was going into the shop, I remember he stopped in his tracks, and he had his phone in his hand, reading his phone. And I could just see his face change. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he hands me his phone, and he's like, look. And it's a long essay text from the best friend professing her love for him. And it was just going on about how much she loved him and da-da-da-da. And I was like, are you sure you and her don't have something going on? Like, and he was like, no, I'm shocked. And I remember, you know, kind of going through the message thread to kind of see their previous conversations, to see like what their conversation dynamic was like. And it was normal. It was just like, you know, two friends. I didn't see anything that was, you know, strange or weird there. It was that one message that she sent. And I was like, okay, so she's secretly in love with you. And he was like, nah. But shortly after that, she randomly blocked me on social media out of nowhere. And then she blocked him and stopped talking to him. And yeah. Remember I said how it was so much drama when this man came into my life? Like, he completely disrupted my peace. I was floating. I didn't have problems with nobody. There was no drama in my life. And then it was like all of a sudden he came, and it came with all the drama and chaos. All the female friends that I was not friends with throughout the course of our, you know, things like that. And then the one best friend who just randomly sent him a long essay professing her love, and then randomly blocked us for no reason at all again, or blocked me for no reason at all. I don't know why she blocked him. Me and her didn't even have a relationship or anything. There was no reason for her to block me. So yeah, ignoring stuff like that. And then lastly, I think this one is the most profound one. Your body rejecting him. The body keeps score, y'all. The body keeps score. My body always rejected this man. I never felt safe with him. I never felt fully comfortable with him. I always had a level of anxiety around him. I definitely, intimacy didn't feel natural with him for a while. I always felt my body rejecting him. My body was always rejecting this man. And I would rationalize that as, well, maybe I'm just not comfortable with him yet. Maybe, he's new. So, I got to get used to being intimate with a new man all over again. So I rationalized so many things away. And I just sit back and I'm like, girl, why? Don't ever do that to yourself. Don't ever do that to yourself. But the body keeps score. Your body is going to tell you. Your body is going to show you. You're going to feel it in your body. And I just didn't have the emotional maturity. I just wasn't tapped in enough back then. This is 13 years ago, y'all, we talking about. And so, yeah, I ignored that. My body was rejecting that man from day one. I will always kind of like instantly, and I remember my sister telling me this, that my body language when I would kiss him or be like it was just off. She was like, it was off. And I'm like, wow, you could see that? And she was like, yes. But looking back from day one, my body was always rejecting him. And like, finding out, years into the marriage that he had a corn addiction and all this stuff, and he was sleeping around and stuff. It was like, that's why my body was rejecting him. Like my spirit, my soul was sensing that like this man was not in alignment with me. He had a lust demon attached to him. He had so many demons attached to him. He had all kind of spirits attached to him. And it's like, my body was rejecting that, and I did not listen to it at all. As I reflect now that I'm on this side, and I'm grateful to be on this side, I really am, because my nervous system is at peace now. The signs were never unclear. I just chose not to listen to them. And when you choose to continue to ignore red flags, you're not avoiding the truth. You're just delaying the damage. That's all you're doing. Don't ignore the red flags, ladies, because it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you.
Get ready with me as I tell you guys all the red flags I ignored in my last relationship, even while I was living with them. Long story short, my ex and I had been broken up for half a year, and he contacted me saying he made a mistake. He sees himself marrying me and wants to like move in soonish and get married. I was like, no, I don't trust you. You've broken up with me before, and you've also been going on dates with other girls, been on dating apps. So long story short, I just don't trust you. So we start dating exclusively, but he doesn't unfollow these girls that he met just a month or two prior, taking out on dates, had crushes on. He makes all the excuses in the world to why he can't unfollow them. Like, oh, I've never kissed them or taken them on a date in real life. We've only FaceTimed. I let it go, whatever. He doesn't unfollow. Fast forward a few months, we move in together. My one bedroom was pretty big, so we just moved in here, and then we said that we were going to get a bigger place together down the road when my lease was up. We had already been spending basically every day and every night together, so like it only made sense. So fast forward to us just moving in, basically having to ask for date nights at this point, and I'm not asking for anything expensive, like it could be 10, 20 bucks, but like a date night. He always makes up an excuse, like I don't want to go anywhere tonight, like I just want to stay home, I'm such a homebody. I hear every excuse in the book. I'm tired. Fast forward to his birthday dinner where he was looking at a group of girls, and his mom noticed, because I was standing right there and I noticed too, and she asked who he was looking at, and he was like, oh, those girls, I think I know the guy that they're with, and also they're being loud. These girls had really big butts, and they were wearing the shortest mini skirts and dresses, and he didn't just like glance over for a second, he was like staring. He was like,
come to the front, come on. These are signs that I ignored in my narcissistic relationship that I'll never do again. Part 1. Number 1, deleting all of my Instagram photos in bikinis or anything slightly sexy had to go. It made him really insecure. But he still got to follow like IG models and his ex. But then I ended up just deleting it altogether because what's the point of having it at that point? Number 2, letting his mom disrespect me. And then his excuse would be, that's just how she is. Why are you mad? Number 3, he would intentionally start an argument right before a special occasion or anywhere that we had to be at just so he didn't have to show up. Number 4, constantly being worried about what I was wearing and being prepared to change at any moment if it made him insecure. That one was so annoying. I hated that. Number 5, I wasn't allowed to hang out with my girlfriends or have girls' night or do anything without him because he was afraid I was going to cheat on him. Isn't that funny how that works? Because he was a cheater. Funny, not funny, but Number 6, not knowing who's cooking dinner, me or his mom. And when I thought I was cooking dinner, she would tell me to stay out of the kitchen. And if I wanted to be in the kitchen, I had to wash the dishes, which I end up doing anyway. So number 7, allowing him to sleep with his phone underneath the pillow and taking in every single room and guarding it with his life. Well, we know why now, but yeah, never again. Number 8, this is a good one. Cooking and cleaning and paying half the bills, including all the remodeling that we did in our home, just to be told that I'm still not doing enough. I have no words. Like, what? What kind of man are you? And number 10, my favorite one, which led us here. Multiple women reaching out to me, telling me and showing me proof that he was cheating on me, just for him to be like, they're obviously lying because they want me and they're jealous of what we have. Don't believe them. I made us look stupid for the both of us, so just never again.
Red flags from my last relationship that I didn't think were red flags, but actually were. The first red flag that I will speak on is definitely love bombing. In the beginning of him and I, like, he called me and texted me on a daily basis, which I did not think was a strange thing. However, when he would text me, they would be like these long paragraphs of how beautiful I was and how he could see a future with me. And, you know, very lovey-dovey type of things, very romantic. And one of the best examples that I have is one morning I remember I was on my way to my friend's house. Right before I left, he had called me, and my friend's house is a good 20-minute drive. That whole drive, and he was talking about how much he's starting to care about me, how he could see a future with me, how beautiful I was. Like, that whole drive, I didn't get one word in. I remember thinking to myself, wow, like, this is a lot. But also I was thinking to myself, here is a man that knows exactly what he wants and he's going after it, so how could I fault him? When in fact, this man was love bombing me. The second red flag that I will speak on is just excuses he would make. And the best example I have of excuses, after we got engaged, which was in 2019, remember him saying to me, we'll get married whenever you want. We've been waiting a long time for this, so we can get married whenever you choose. Now, for context, I did not want something big. I was interested in doing something very small. His friends were trying to convince him we should do something in Dubai, and I had said, let's do something intimate with you and I, and then we can do something big later. So as I'm looking at dates, I find something, we have a conversation, he tells me that date will work. So I make the necessary arrangements, and I want to say about a month before, somebody in his family had gotten sick. Now, I'm not talking regular sick. This man was saying that one of his family members had cancer. So of course, things came to a halt. So we get through that, and now he's like, okay, we can plan again. You can choose the date. So of course, I choose another date. We move forward. A month before that, somebody else in the family gets sick. And as he's telling me like these people are getting sick, honestly, I'm not questioning. And yes, I am believing him, because who lies about having cancer? Like, that is a sick, twisted lie. But this man literally lied about people in his family having cancer. Like, who does that?
Here are some of the red flags in my long distance relationship that I just choose to ignore. My boyfriend lives 3,000 miles away, and he has a girl best friend where he lives. They're pretty close, and they go out to dinner together once a week. And when we first started dating, I had a problem with it, and I told him I was concerned about it. But he explained to me that they've been friends way longer than we've been dating, and I didn't want to end their friendship. Another red flag that I ignore is that my boyfriend has to have all my passwords to all of my social media. One time I got logged out of my Instagram, so I had to change my password, and he blocked me on everything because he didn't know my password anymore. But he unblocked me once he understood the situation. I am not allowed to have any guy friends. We've had a few fights over me talking to guys in public, but we worked them out, and I'm not allowed to snap any guys. He doesn't snap any girls either, out of respect to me, with the exception of his girl best friend. They are #1 best friends on Snapchat, but I'm his #2. Since they've been friends for longer than we've been dating, I understand why they're #1 best friends, but he doesn't snap any girls other than her.
I'm gonna name 3 red flags I ignored / missed during the dating process with my now ex-husband. The first one that I'm gonna bring up is the fact that when we were in the car together, first of all, whenever we were together, from the time we started dating until we were married. If we were both going somewhere, he always had to drive. It was very rare that I drove, and a lot of people might be like, oh, well, that's the dream, have the man drive and whatever, but it was a sense of control. He always had to be the one driving. Whether there were times when we shared a car, he had to drive it, and whenever we had separate cars and we were going anywhere, we always had to ride in his car. If we went somewhere where he was going inside but I wasn't, if it was a freezing cold day and we had been driving with the heat on, that didn't matter. If he got out the car, he turned the car off. So then I would be sitting there in a cold car. And if it was a hot summer day, 100 degrees outside, it didn't matter. He would go inside the store and turn the car off, so now I have no air. And when he did that while we were dating, I would think to myself, that seems like so inconsiderate to do, because I'm like still in the car. And at first I'm like, maybe he's upset because I didn't come in with him, so he's trying to punish me. And even that doesn't make it okay, but he did that several times. A second red flag that I'm gonna bring up that I ignored / missed while I was dating my now ex-husband is the time that my family was going to Hawaii. My family would vacation often, and whenever I went, even as an adult, I never had to pay for anything. So they never requested any money for him to come. They just knew I was dating him, and they're like, oh, you're gonna bring your boyfriend? And I asked him, I'm like, would you like to go to Hawaii with me and my family? And he's like, yeah. He was so excited. We had been talking about it, and then one day he called me and said, I can't go to Hawaii. And I was like, why not? Like, you were so excited to go. And he sounded like he was like disappointed when he was telling me. And basically his mom told him he couldn't go. I called her and I said, why isn't he coming to Hawaii with us now? And she basically said, oh, well, I don't know what you expect me to do. I'm not going to talk him into going. He has bills he needs to pay at this house. He needs to be at work. He can't just be going on vacation. He needs to be here helping out. So basically his mom would not allow him to go to Hawaii. And we were going to be there for about a week. I think he had already inquired about getting time off of work and everything. So he was really looking forward to it. And his mom stopped him from coming. And the reason this is a red flag during the dating situation is because his mom became a problem. She was a problem from day one. Another red flag I ignored. I will get to that. She just became more and more of a problem as everything went on. The third red flag that I'm going to bring up is the time he told me, y'all could just reach through your phones and slap me right now. The time he told me that a girl broke up with him, and his response to being broken up with was to, let me just say this one thing. He's into tech. He fixes computers for a living. This is what he does. He knows how to hack and all of that. And he told me that when some girl broke up with him, he sent a virus to her computer. He sent her an email and made it so that as soon as she opened it, her whole computer would crash. I don't know why I didn't put on my boots and run at that very moment. I was alarmed. I was definitely alarmed when he told me that, and I just was like, I cannot believe he did something like that. That's horrible. Why would you do that to someone because they broke up with you? That was a red flag that I ignored. And given what my divorce process was like, given the person he showed me he was after I told him I didn't want to be with him anymore, I really wish that that was a red flag that I had paid attention to, listened to, and made that the reason that I walked away. But I didn't. I stayed. So those are the 3 red flags.